Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm going to be doing a wrap up of the 25 books that I read in the month of May, June, and July. To some people that might be a lot or average, but for me that's a slump. I started off good the beginning of the year, really hot actually. My goal for the whole year was to read 60 books, and then my husband challenged me to bump it up to 100, and I was reading at a really fast pace, so I was like, okay, yeah, I bet I'll do it, like that's easy. I got to a good like 55 or 60. Reading slump. A reading slump hit me. So far I've read like 77 books I think so far for the year, and I still have what, 5 months to go, so I'm not too worried about it. I'm sure the slump will ease up within the next few weeks, but it is kind of irritating because I was doing so good and I truly enjoy reading. I still have the desire to read, but for some reason when I sit down to read, I'm like, I don't know if I'm bored or if I just get too distracted. Like my mind is just in so many places right now. I don't know what it is. I haven't really been filming too much content lately around like bookish things because I'm in a slump, and I am trying to not put so much pressure on reading, because I feel like one of the main reasons why I'm in the slump is because I was putting too much pressure on, okay, I need to read this amount of books, I need to get this many pages, I need to record this video and make sure the video is really good, so I need to read a lot of books. Like it was just too much, you know, like I was trying to keep up with social media, booktok, trying to make sure I'm staying on top of the most recent books, the most popular books, and it was just kind of, you know, it took a toll on my reading, I guess, and now I don't want to read, so I had to tell myself, you know what, no more. You're not even getting anything from this content anyway. Like, yeah, it's fun. I want to remind myself that I'm doing this as a hobby. This isn't my job. I get 0 cents from booktok, from booktube, from bookstagram, all of it. I get 0 cents, so it's like, why am I overdoing it? You know, like I need to keep it as a fun hobby and not a chore. Who is that? Be nice and go play with your brothers.
No, Mama, I'm taking that.
But we're just gonna jump in. So again, I read 25 books. I believe 11 of them are physical copies, and the rest were either audiobooks or like on the Kindle. Honestly, I was relying heavily on audiobooks in July because, again, slump. I feel like the slump hit like early July, and so I had to do what I had to do. If you don't feel like audiobooks count as reading, we can fight. No, I'm just kidding. We're not gonna fight. But my thought process, sorry, I'm going on a tangent right now. My mind can't focus on one thing, but my thought process on that is, if you think that listening to a book isn't still reading, I'm still comprehending the information first of all, but if you feel like it's not reading, would you say the same thing about someone like an author saying, oh, I'm writing my book, but they're typing it on the computer? Are they still writing a book? Yes. They're not writing the book, but they're still writing a book. It's just in a different format. So yes, audiobooks count. Anyway, that's my thought process. Let's jump into this wrap up. Also, if you guys want to just kind of skip around to whatever books sound interesting to you, or whatever books you want to hear my thoughts on, I will have the timestamps, like the little chapter timestamp thing, somewhere down here. I don't know. Y'all know what I'm talking about. So we're going to start with the Hunger Games series. I did read 4 out of 5 books from the Hunger Games series. I have 2 physical copy, and then I had 2 of them as audiobooks, and then I have not yet read Sunrise on the Reaping. Absolutely love this series. This whole series, especially these first 2 books, have my heart forever. Yes, this was my first time reading and watching the Hunger Games movies. I'm a late bloomer. I know, it's crazy. Honestly, I'm kind of glad I waited until my adulthood, because I feel like I got to soak up the full, like I got to appreciate it even more. Honestly, so good. Katniss, I love you. I loved her in the first book. She was making me mad by the time we got to Mockingjay, but you know what? It's fine. If you're a late bloomer like me and you haven't read it yet, I highly, highly, highly recommend go ahead and read it. Honestly, I don't even blame you if you don't read it yet, because you can never read a book for the first time again. So it's like, you know, take your time, but also read it at some point. I feel like everyone's read it at this point though, so let me just shut up. Let's move on. This is in no particular order, by the way. I'm just going to start with my physical books and then jump into like the audiobooks and Kindles. I also read Beartown by Fredik. This feels like so long ago when I read this. I heard so many great things about Fredik, but just about this book specifically, and the reviews that I've seen on this are good, like 6-star, 5-star. Oh my gosh, I love this book so much. Book of the month, book of the year, this and that. So I was like, you know what, I've got to read it. Okay, I wasn't really in a book slump at this time, but at the same time I was like fiending for something really, really good. Like I really wanted a 5 or 6 star read. So I was like, you know what, let me read it. Ultimately, I think I gave it like a 4 star. It was still a really good book. I do recommend it. It's about a hockey town, but it's not about a hockey town. Like its main setting and a lot of the focus is around hockey, but it kind of just helps tie in the story and tell the story. So it's not about a hockey town. It's about something so much deeper. I'm not going to go into too much explanation on it because I don't want to spoil anything, but you have to learn a lot of characters. Maybe take notes on the characters in the first few chapters so that you don't forget, because it is a lot of people. But yeah, great book. I am going to read more from Fredik Backman. I actually am in the middle of Anxious People right now. It's just taking me a long time to get through because, again, slump. How many times am I going to say slump in this video? Y'all let me know, count. And then I read Long Shot by Kennedy Ryan. Kennedy Ryan is honestly such a great storyteller, such a great writer. If you like Kristin Hannah, you're probably gonna like Kennedy Ryan. I feel like they're so similar on, like, they're just good at telling stories, pulling out your emotions. They both do research on the topic that they're writing about before writing about it, which I appreciate and love. This one I have beef with, I'm not gonna lie. I try not to drag this book, I really do, because at the end of the day, I mean, the author will probably never see this, because who am I? But you know, I still try to respect, this is still their work, this is their art, this is their, like, they poured their heart into this, and I want to respect that. But again, like, these are just my honest opinions. Like, you know, I didn't hate it, I just didn't get it. It was not a book for me. So many people love this book, okay? Not taking away anything from that. Honestly, if you love this book, I love that for you. Like, I'm so glad that you got, you know, some fulfillment from it. I didn't understand it. I didn't understand the characters, didn't relate to them. There was zero plot. I didn't understand the point of the book. I couldn't tell you anything about the book. I could tell you some things that happened, but I just don't know why. Like, why did I read this? What was the point? A lot of the things that happened in the book, I was just like, huh? I'm not trying to judge. Like, I know they're fictional characters, but at the same time, I try not to judge because there might be people out there who think the same way. And so it's like, you know, I just try to be open-minded, but I was just reading this book like, huh? Also, Sally Rooney, if you don't know, she does not use quotation marks. So it's kind of like all the words are flowing together, whether it's an internal monologue or they're speaking aloud. You got to kind of interpret that on your own. I didn't hate it, but I also didn't like that because I had to use too much brain power to read. I didn't want to have to sit here and be like, okay, oh, you're saying that out loud. Okay, gotcha. Like, I don't know. I just didn't really care for the book. I'm going to try another book. This one just was not for me. And then I read Betting on You by Lynn Painter. First of all, can we just appreciate the sprayed edges? This is the cutest spray. Literally the only reason I bought this book was because of the sprayed edges. I kid you not. I came to the realization that I'm just not a fluffy romance type of girl. I don't really care for any romance, but if I'm gonna read it, it needs to like pull on my heartstrings and be deep and have, you know, true meaning to it. Fluffy romance or like just like the more chill casual romance books are just not for me, or even like overly spicy romance. Like I can't do it. But anyway, I just read this because I had the audiobook for it, so I tandem read it and I was like, why not? It was still a very cute book. If you are into romance books, then yes, I would recommend it. If you're not into romance books, honestly skip it. I'm not mad that I read it. It was enjoyable, but just I read Say You Swear by Meagan, Brandy, and again, like I was just saying, if it's a romance book that has like a deeper meaning that is gonna pull at my heartstrings and kind of like pull me into like something sad happens, then yes. But this one is thickums, and I was scared to read this book for a long time because of how big it is and because people said it was gonna make me cry, and I just wasn't emotionally stable enough. This has been sitting on my shelf for a while and I just wasn't ready to read it. But then I was like, you know what, let me just do it. And you know what, I liked it. I really did like this book. I didn't know what to expect from it. I like going into books blind. I did have some water in my eyes, okay? It was definitely sad. The tears didn't fall, but they were there. I was over there like, no. Like, honestly, this is a really good book. I'm not gonna lie. Now that I think about it, I will say this is technically a YA. The characters are fresh out of high school going into college, but it felt more like Binding 13. Like, it felt very adulty for it to be a YA, in my opinion. I read The Grace Year, and this book was actually recommended to me. I was chasing the high that I was on from reading I Who Have Never Known Men. If you have any recommendations, please let me know, because I love I Who Have Never Known Men. I think the thing I love most about it was the thing that most people hate about it, which was how it left you at the end. having so many questions, not knowing what the heck is going on, and just leaving that open-ended, like, huh? Which I understand why people don't like it, but I loved it. I don't know, like, I cannot stop thinking about that book. I feel like the whole point of the book was to not have those answers, but instead to just see the growth of that character. Why am I going into that book? Okay, The Gray Shear. Love this book. I didn't get I Who Have Never Known Men vibes from it, but I still did love it so very much. It is basically about a group of girls, I believe when they turn 16, they all get sent out basically to the wilderness in the middle of nowhere to let out their magic, because the men in the area that they are from believe that they can use this magic once they turn of age to like control the men, or you know, do different things on them. And so it's very much a society where like men are dominant and they're kind of belittling the women. The women have to marry the man that chooses them. They don't really have a say. They can get unalived for like little things. Basically witches. Okay. Oh, me? Okay. Some people don't like the book because the ending was slightly open-ended. They didn't really understand what happened at the end. Me, I didn't mind the ending. I don't think it was that deep. It was interesting to kind of follow along what was going on in the wilderness. It was kind of eerie, but really not at the same time. And there's a subplot of romance. There's a sprinkle of romance in there. The only thing that kind of had me questioning, and hopefully this isn't a spoiler, but I was kind of questioning, like, was the magic real? Or was it just something that the men were kind of scared of? Because like, oh, women are powerful and amazing beings. Like, that was my idea. It's like, okay, there's not actually magic. It's just that women are like these amazing people. They don't actually have powers, but we're just strong. You know, womanhood is amazing. Femininity is amazing. But we don't have actual power. Like, I can't control your mind. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the vibe. I'm pretty sure that was what the book was going for. But I don't, unless I missed something, I don't think it ever specifically specified. The main character tries to like figure that out though, but I don't think it ever like specifically said, yes, we don't actually have powers, unless I missed something. Anyway, still, overall great book. I loved it. I would recommend. It does get slow at some points, but still very, very good. I read The Butcher and the Wren. This was a book that I bought from someone off of Facebook. I think it was like 21 books for $20. Actually crazy. And this book was really small, one of the smallest books in the lot that I got. So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna read it. I came to find out that this was actually written by like a true crime podcaster, which is really cool. Her name is Elena Urquhart, I believe is how you say it. So sorry if I'm butchering that, but I'm butchering that. Oh my gosh, I have to stop. Basically, this book was about a detective who is on the hunt to find, or no, not even detective, about a mortician, right? Who is trying to find this serial unaliver. And I see the vibe that she was going for. I think I just wasn't in a mood for a book like this at the time that I read it, which is why I rated it low. I think I gave it like a 2.5 stars, something like that. Honestly, the book wasn't bad at all. It wasn't terrible. I would still recommend it to someone who's looking for a book of this vibe, but honestly I didn't really care for it. But I think that is also because I read a series called the 4MK series, The Fourth Monkey. It, like, honestly, that book does the whole like detective serial killer vibe so good. You're getting the perspective of both of them, and it was so like I was on my toes. And then hearing the serial killers like diary entries that they were, it was so good. Like the 4MK series, I would highly recommend. Honestly, this book I didn't care for too much, but you know, I would still like, I just try to be so nice because I know people pour their hearts into these books. So anyway, it just wasn't for me. But the 4MK series is free on Audible. At least it was free when I was reading it. So I would recommend you check that out if you are into those kind of books. And then I read Such Quiet Girls. This is based around true events. It is basically about a school bus full of, was it 22? Full of a lot of kids. Elementary school age kids and like 6th grade kids. And their bus driver, they all get kidnapped, and they end up getting buried alive in like a shipping container that's like buried underground. And you're kind of just following along the thought process of like what's going on with them and some of the parents on the outside who are trying to find them, and then the abductors like trying to get this ransom money. It's a really good read, quick paced. Actually really sad that this was actually based around true events. I'd never heard of this story. I recently, actually this might have been my most recent read, but I did recently read Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConaghy. This book is basically about a man and his 3 children who live on this like remote deserted island alone. They're kind of taking care of the island, taking care of these seeds that are vital to like surviving. And then this lady ends up washing onto the shore after this really bad storm, and she's like half not there. Like she's like, her heartbeat is not beating very well. I'm trying to be careful with what I say on YouTube, but anyway, so they're trying to figure out like, okay, where did she come from? Was she intentionally trying to come to this island? Does she have good intentions or bad? Like, who is she? Who is this lady? So they're kind of trying to figure that out. I'm just following along, like all the secrets and things that are going on. It's a really good book. I was captivated. I was turning the pages. I thought this was gonna get me out of my slump, and while I was reading it, it did. But then I fell back into it. I don't even know what's going on now. I don't know. But I do recommend. I gave that a 4-star. I really enjoyed that book. My camera battery is dying and my camera's overheating, so I might have to pause. But I'm gonna jump. All right, literally as I was saying my camera battery was dying, my camera shut off. So that was the last thing y'all saw. It's the next day. I've been charging my camera battery all night. I think what I left off with was I was gonna jump into the Kindle books and audiobooks next. I'm pretty sure I finished all the physical copies that I read. So I did read The Tenant by Freida McFadden, and let's just say I'm not a Freida McFadden fan. Like I've realized that at this point, but at the same time, she's so like popular that whenever she has a new release and everyone's talking about it and everyone's reading it, I feel I have bad FOMO. Okay, I feel like I'm missing out on something, and so I just read the books that she drops because I just want to know what it's about. I want to know what everyone's talking about, you know, like I just want to keep up. But I think her writing style is a little bit too elementary for me. And when I first started reading, that was fine. That was cool. Like, I didn't have anything else to base it off of because I only started reading like 2 years ago in 2023. She was not the first book that I read, but I would say like the 4th or 5th book that I read. And so I didn't have much to base it off of, so I loved it. And I think the first book I read by her was One by One. A lot of people don't like that book. I hardly ever hear people talking about that book, and when they do, I think that they don't really like it. And I actually really loved the book at the time, so it will be interesting to go back and reread to see if I would like it now that my book taste has evolved so much. Yeah, I don't know, her writing style is just so simple and like, I did this and then he said that, and then now I'm walking to the fridge, I open the door. Like, it's so, I don't know. And it's like, I try not to judge too hard because I'm not an author. I probably would never ever write a book because I don't like writing. English has never been my favorite subject, but if you're going to be an author, I feel like you got to do it right. It's just not for me. Some people really love it. That's great. I love that for y'all, but it's not for me. There's some that I enjoyed, but The Tenant, no. She's putting out like 4 or 5 books in a year. Like, I think she just needs to chill, maybe focus on one book and really put her heart into that, and then maybe it'll be better. Then I read Firefly Lane by Kristin. I believe this was the book club book of the month in May. It was a pretty good book. I have no complaints about it. Actually, I do have some complaints. The characters irritated me, and there were also some situations in the book that happened that I thought were going to be like more of a big, like, to kind of, I guess, carry the plot, like have more a reason for why they happened or like really shape the characters. But I don't feel like it did, so I was kind of like, well, what was the point in that, I guess? Or maybe it did. Maybe I missed something. Every time I read a book and I kind of don't understand something that happened, my conclusion is always, maybe I missed something. So I don't know if I missed something in that, but I did still give it like a 4-star. I enjoyed the book. I read Silver Elite. This is like a romantasy, I believe, and I'm not really into fantasy, romantasy, anything like that, but I really did love this book. I can't tell you much about it, like the plot or anything. I can't really tell you, but I just remember really liking the book. If I'm remembering correctly, it's about a girl who lives in an area where they are trying to find like these magic beings, these magic people, and they don't want them in their area no more. They don't want them around. Okay, they're done with these magic people. They're like, y'all are dangerous, y'all gotta go. And so she's kind of hiding the fact that she's one of them, and she becomes anyway, yeah, I recommend. It was cute. I liked it. And I'm pretty sure book 2 is coming out. I don't know if it's next year or when, I don't really know, but I will be reading book 2. The Last One at the Wedding. This was a random audiobook that I ended up listening to. I gave it like a 2.5 star. I don't think this book will ever stick with me. I honestly couldn't tell you much about it. I just know after I finished it, I was like, okay, well, that gave me nothing.
I hope you're hungry for nothing.
Say You'll Remember Me by Jimenez. I enjoyed this book. I wouldn't call this a fluffy romance, but at the same time, like, Jimenez does write like sad, heartfelt moments in her book, like whether it's like some form of emotional or alcohol or whatever type of abuse or dementia, or like just something hard that a person is dealing with in their life or with a family member. She writes a lot about that stuff. So I don't think it's a fluffy romance, but it's, I don't know, it's not a Kristin Hanna or a Kennedy Ryan type book in my opinion. And so these type of romance books I don't really care for. Even in saying that, I still rated it like a 3-star, which I don't feel like is a terrible rating. I think that's pretty average. So I didn't hate it, but I also wouldn't recommend it unless you specifically like Abby Jimenez, Emily Henry type books. I read The Perfect Divorce, which was book 2 to The Perfect Marriage. I loved The Perfect Marriage, didn't really care for The Perfect Divorce. I feel like it was a good like second book to follow up, but it wasn't as good as the first book. So I think I gave it like a 3 or 3.5 star. I feel like when I was reading it, it was giving like Freida McFadden. That's what I felt like. I was reading a Freida McFadden book. So maybe that's why I didn't care for it as much. And then we have The Wedding People, which I gave 4 stars. I like this book. It is a bit of a heavy topic in this book as well. I feel like it's a pretty fast-paced read. Basically, it is about a girl who goes to, it's almost like a comedy, but it's not funny. Like, it's got some heavy things in it. It is about a girl who goes to this resort to live her last day unalive, and she ends up being there with a bunch of people for this wedding. The bride runs into her, ends up finding out what she's there to do, and she's like, no, we're not doing that. You're not doing that at my wedding. That's all I'm gonna say there. Don't want to spoil anything. And then I read The Compound, which was our book of the month for the book club in July. If you like reality TV and books, this combines it all into one. Like, some people say it's like Love Island, which I can see. A group of 10 women, 10 men, they get together in this compound. They're on a reality TV show, live show, and they basically have to do these group challenges and individual challenges to win different items. If you have an individual challenge that you get, you cannot tell the other players or the other cast members. You have to just do that challenge if you want the item reward. So it's kind of like a game of like, who can you trust? Like, are they doing this because they like me, or they really want to be my friend, or they want to talk to me, blah, blah, blah. Or are they doing this just for a task, for an item? So that's kind of an interesting aspect of it. And then on top of that, it was supposed to give like a thriller, eerie vibe, but I didn't get that from it. If you read the little synopsis or whatever of the book, at least when I read it, I was like, oh, like this is gonna be scary. Like, they're gonna be getting offed. Like, if they get voted off, they get offed. But no, I don't think that's what was happening. I kind of wish that was what was happening, which is crazy to say, but it's fictional. I don't think anything crazy was happening, which is kind of a bummer, but I still enjoyed the book nonetheless. It was a great book. The ending was a bit flat for me, but I would still recommend the book. It was still fun. It was entertaining. It was a quick read, and I gave it a 4.5 star. Then I found an audiobook for Local Woman Missing. I really thought I had the physical copy for this book, but I looked on my bookshelf and I couldn't find it. So I guess I just did the audiobook for it, but I think I gave it a 3.5 star. I would probably recommend it. It's a thriller about a woman and a girl going missing. I think the girl, I can't fully remember everything that happens, but I'm pretty sure the girl returns, and the brother of the girl is like, you're not my sister, or something like that. Anyway, they're just going through the girl returning, trying to figure out where she was, who had her, like what happened to her. Let's move on. Then I listened to the audiobook for Educated by Tara Westover, which, like, great book, great writing, great storytelling, really captivating story. I honestly couldn't believe that all that stuff was true when I was listening to it. It was like accident and tragedy back to back to back, and I was like, girl, you had to live through this. But it's so crazy because, like, as you're reading through the book, you see like how far she's come, like all the obstacles she got through as a child to get to where she was, and like going to Ivy League, like just doing amazing things in life. And I was like, girl, you did that. Like, that's actually crazy. And it really goes to show you that like nothing is impossible. So basically, she was homeschooled as a child. Well, homeschooled as a child. Her parents really didn't teach her anything. And they were like super against the government, hospitals, medicine, all that stuff. And so she's kind of just going through finding her own way in the world without her family's influence. And I found an audiobook for 3 Days in June, which is a pretty short story. It was a random audiobook I found. Again, I was just trying to find audiobooks because I wasn't reading physical books because the slump. I think I gave this one like a 2 star. respectfully, I just didn't care for it. Like, nothing stuck with me. It was basically about a woman and a man who are separated. They were, I guess, divorced, and their daughter is getting married, and we're literally just following along, them going to the wedding and them hanging out with each other. Like, nothing much. I feel like 25 books for 3 months is pretty decent for, you know, it's pretty average. But honestly, normally I would have probably read like a good 40 books in 3 months. So for me, it is a slump. I think I'm gonna just continue to try to take it slow, read as much as I can, but also not put too much pressure on it and not get down on myself if I don't read X amount of pages or X amount of books. Y'all let me know what your favorite books were for the month of July, and if you have any literary general fiction books that you want to recommend to me, I'll gladly accept them. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.